The stomp dance has been an enduring part of ancient Creek ceremonial life longer than anyone remembers. For centuries, Creek men and women have gathered at their tribal towns to sing and dance all night after fasting and taking medicine during the day. In the summertime, the sounds of the stomp can still be heard in the night skies over Creek ceremonial grounds. The unifying sound, heard distinctly above the others, is the rhythmic rattle produced by turtle shells filled with pebbles, worn on the legs of some of the women as they dance around the fire. These women are called shell shakers. Though some dancers substitute tin cans in this unique form of musical percussion, turtle shells are traditional. Today, few are skilled in the tribal art of making turtle shells for the women. Out of necessity, Christine Hennahaw, a long-time shell shaker, taught herself this art 10 years ago.
When I'm going to make a set of turtles, I need 8 on one side and 8 on the other side, left and right leg. And so between 7:30 in the morning till about 9:30, I'll go out, and generally they're on the highway, biggest part of them you could find. And if I find one, I'll carry a box, not a cardboard box, but a plastic or tin bucket or anything, so they don't crawl out. If I found one, well, I'll put it in there and keep on going, say 7 miles to town. Some mornings, well, I'll find 2 or 3, sometimes 1, sometimes none. And every day I'll look that time of the morning, and when I find one, I may not clean it the day that I get it. I might just pile it up. Then I'll just start cleaning them. And there's some turtles that's got a stripe on its back. I don't get that kind because the Indians call it snake turtle, that it turns into snake. Never use that kind. So I don't get that kind. I get the one that's smooth, and then some have a little, look like flower designs on it. There's a certain way that you tell which is female and which is male. The female have a little flarety skirt. I call it flary skirt. By looking at that, that's the female. And the male, he have a straight. He don't have no flary skirt, so that's a male. Right here I have a female and a male. On my, we call them ludjas in our language, the Creek language. On my ludjas, I got all female turtles on mine because they compete against each other just like human females, but you can mix the male and female, but on mine I have all females because the females can compete against each other and make better sound and musical sound, just like the human females. But the male, he don't care. He just on there for the ride, and so the females is the ones that's making the better musical sound. But the male, he just on there for the ride. He just the number on the ludjas that you use. When I get ready to kill or to clean my turtle, I usually wait till early in the morning or late in the evening when they are open up and their heads and tails are out. Well then, this is the knife that I use. And I cut the neck first. And when you cut the neck, that elastic breaks loose where they raise their head and open up, and then you go back behind the neck, and then you go back to the tail, which is already open, and then you pull them out. Right along in here, there is just one backbone, just about big as your thumb, just one backbone. It's not like a human. Right here, this knife will go up in there and you work it where it cuts that backbone. Then you pull the body out of the shell. When we do that, then we wash our turtles with soapy water and rinse it off. And a long time ago, they used to put it on a red ant bed. But when I first start doing this and I put on a red ant bed, this little line under here, the red ants cleaned this out overnight, and they eat the meat out right here where this just falls off and this falls off. You don't have nothing but the top. So I learned to put it up on something high where it be in the sun all day. And then I have the little black ants or the little gnats or the little teeny weeny ants crawl on top of that. I got a cover as high as covering my butane tank that I put them up there where nothing will take them off, take them away. And the little ants will clean all the meat out, and the sun will help dry it out. But they're dark color like this one when we first get it. When we wash it in soapy water and then put it out in the sun, well, they get lighter color, just like anything else that you wash, it change color. But the little black ants and the little whatever other insect does not eat this out. That's the reason why we have the bottom still left on this one. And it dries in the sun for 3-4 days. If we have a sunshiny day, it takes about 3-4 days to dry. And on top of that, the little insects is eating the meat out of it. And if there's any meat left after you're ready to work on it, well, then it'll shake out as you're dancing. But we wash it in soap and water so it don't have a smell. This don't have no smell to it. But we call them steel green. After you wear them 1 year, you could still smell the greenness on a turtle. So the more they're out in the sun, the better it is and better sound they make. After they've been dried for about 3-4 days, depending on the weather, at night we bring them in so the dew don't fall on them, put them out next morning. Well, then we drill holes in them. We have certain areas on this turtle that we drill. If you notice, this turtle's got designs of square designs. There's everything in the Indian way is 4, so we got 4 squares here on each side, and we got 4 on top. So we drill on each of the 4 squares. We have to put 2 holes in the front, 2 holes on the one square and 1 on all around, except on top I got 2 on each of the, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and that's to tie it down. On the bottom, I've got 4 on the bottom. That's to tie it down on the mouth and on the tail. You notice that this is still open and it's pretty well cleaned out. Now, after I drill holes in this and it's ready to put the little pebbles in there, I call them cowboy shirt pebbles. They're real smooth. Other word, it looked like this in the bigger size, and we use some. I don't know what size you would call these, but they're a little bit bigger holes than a little bit bigger pebbles, so they don't come out of the hole. And we use these smooth ones. Other words, it looked like this. And I've done put these in the turtles, and I have a certain measurement, certain amount that I measure in my hand. And I put them in there, and I kind of close the mouth, and I shake it to hear the sound. And I try not to work this too much, just a little bit. Then I'll get some more, the little pebbles, and I put it in there, and I hold the mouth. And if it sounds about right, it's got the right sound. So where the 2 holes is on top and the 2 on the bottom, I put a real fine wire in there and tie his mouth so I don't lose no pedal. But the tail, I don't tie because it automatically done shut and done glued itself during the drying process. And I just tie his mouth. And now this is ready to be put on a leather, and we can't hardly go buy leather every time we need to put it on. So through the time before I get ready to put my turtles together, I look for a cowboy boot. And this top part is always a good leather, even though the sole isn't any good. And so yard sales or anybody giving some away, well, I buy it, and then I cut the top off, which looks like this, because it's already shaped like a leg, and it's soft. Then I use this knife. When I get my 8 turtles, I have to place them on so I know about whereabouts the turtles go. Then I use the knife and just cut a little split in that, wherever the turtle's going to sit at, which will be 8 turtles. And when I measure it like this, then I cut it on the inside 2 places, because some of the turtles are a little bigger and some of them are a little smaller. The male is a little bit bigger, the female's a little smaller. So I have to put them together like this. That way I'll know whereabouts to cut it underneath. And then I just cut it, kind of punch a hole and cut it a little bit in long strips on all where I done made the pattern to set my turtles. And that's why I collect the cowboy boots, because I cut it off here And this is good leather, and it's already shaped like your leg. Because wearing them all night, if you have the stiff leather, they're gonna, if you don't have it tied right, it's gonna cause a blister. Now, as you notice, I use the white leather, which we get this in a ball of leather from Tandy's Leather Shop, wherever they have a Tandy store. And you could notice on the inside where these white are, that's where I cut it and tied it down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 places that I tied it down. And I start with 6 on the bottom. I put the 6 on the bottom first, and when I get them tight, I shake it to see if these aren't moving. They have to be down solid. And I pull them tight, and I kind of dampen this leather where it would get tight after it gets dry. So I put the 6 on there first, and I shake it, and if it seems to be tight, then I take the 2 and put them on, and as you could see underneath how it come through from the bottom to through to the top. And I shake them with my hand and shake them this way to see if they're not loose. If they're loose, it'll make a different sound in your musical part of it. So they have to be tied down tight. And these are tight. And then I get these knots as tight as I could. Sometimes we kind of dampen them a little bit to get them tight. Then I start tying it. See, none of them is moving. And always the top of your turtles, that's got the little wire, goes to the top of your boot. The bottom of your turtles go to the bottom of the boot top. And then after I get them all on and I'm shaking them, sometimes you see the look like little white things falling out. It's still some of that little meat like that is getting dried and didn't all get worked out, and it's working out through the holes, but that don't matter. That makes it sound better. And then you can get a leather or shoestring and put how many holes you want on a side, depending on yourself. I got 3 on each side. And this is to tie it on your legs. And you just lace it or however you want to tie it. But I lace mine just like a regular boot or a shoe. And I use sometimes these boot leather shoestrings. Sometimes I use the leather itself, the same kind I used on the outside. Then I lace it up like this and it's ready to put on your leg. Since I have to wear these turtles all night, I use a towel, a thick towel, put it around towards my ankle so it won't slide down and give me blisters on my ankle. Or you could use a baby blanket. But if you do, you use it to the top. I do. I mean, people can use different things, but I use a baby blanket and a towel. And I have a left and right, and I shake them to see which got the musical sound. The musical sound goes in towards the fire, which will be on your left. So this got little different sound, so I use this one for the outside. And I've got leather to tie mine with, and I've got 4 holes that I use to tie mine down with. And you know yourself how much you want to tie according to the circulation of your leg. You get them too tight, your leg get to cramping. So you know how much to tie it. And how to tie it on so it kind of keep from sliding. Sometimes if you have a extra string, you could tie it around the top. Or if you got it well padded and tied on top, it don't slide. And you dance all night with these on. And I really never have weighed these to see how much they weigh. And I put my towel, because it's thickest, towards my ankle. And the baby blanket, I put it to the top because I don't have much shaking on the top like I would sliding down towards my ankle. I got this one marked from dancing so many times that the musical sound, I've got a little X in there that would go in towards a fire, because your musical sound is towards a fire, which is on your left, because the dance go one way all the time. And I lace these up just like you would a shoe or a boot. Some people use sponge, but the sponge does not vibrate your noise of your musical sound. It keeps it enclosed. That's why I think a towel or a baby blanket is better to use. And some ladies wear long dresses down to the ankle to hide it, but I've found out that the long dress seemed like cut out the sound. So mine is just below my knee. And I shake it to see if I got it on tight enough where it don't slide down, because it's going to be an all-night dance. That's the sound of it, and you could tell your musical sound is on the inside.